Welcome to Design of Machine Element 2. Module 5 is about lubrication, bearings and anti-friction bearing. In last session we discussed about some of the basic concept of lubrication and along with one of the important concept of hydrodynamic lubrication, along with one of the important derivation, that is Petrov equation. So this is all about sliding contact bearing. So next important topic is anti-friction bearing. So it's nothing but rolling contact uh, bearings, because in rolling contact bearing the contact between the bearing surface is rolling instead of sliding, because in sliding contact bearing whatever the nature of contact is sliding in nature. So there will be always metal to metal contact in some cases. Therefore whatever the starting friction, so that is very high. In order to avoid that one, so one of the main advantage of using anti-friction bearing is it has low starting friction. So due to this starting friction offered by the rolling contact bearing, so therefore it is called anti-friction bearing. So this is one of the important types of bearing. So in that we have ball bearing and roller bearing. So you have to study in detail. So some of the advantage of rolling contact bearing over the sliding contact bearing, so that we have to see what are the advantage. A main objective of this topic, that is anti-friction bearing. So you will come to know about rolling contact bearing, what you mean by rolling contact bearing. Then you may study about ball bearing and roller bearing. Then you will understand basic definition of some of the important design parameter of rolling contact bearing. Then you will be understand selection of method of rolling contact bearing. So how to select different types of bearing from manufacturer's catalog. So before starting this anti-friction bearing, so you know already definition. So anti-friction bearing are called also called rolling contact bearing. So due to its low friction characteristics, so these bearing are used for radial thrust load and combination of thrust and radial load. So these bearing are extensively used due to its relative lower price, being almost maintenance free for its operational ease. However, frictional increases at high speed for rolling contact bearing, so and it may be noisy while running. So these are the some of the important characteristics of rolling contact bearing. So now we have to see what are the some of the important advantage and disadvantage of rolling contact bearing over sliding contact bearing. So the sliding this has some of the important features than sliding contact bearing. So coming to the advantage side, it has low starting and running friction except very high speed, because at high speed, so the friction may increase, but in low and normal side whatever the friction, so that will be very less. And this is one of the important advantage of rolling contact bearing. Along with that, ability to withstand whatever the shock load, so that is possible if you use rolling contact bearing. And so low maintenance and whatever the lubrication, no lubrication is required during the service. That is one of the advantage of anti-friction bearing. So then whatever the process, that is very clean and easy to mount. So these are the some of the advantage of anti-friction bearing. Then coming to disadvantage, so it is as I mentioned, it creates high noise during high speed application, and whatever the initial cost somewhat high, because whatever the manufacture of roller whatever the rolling elements we have to use in that, so that leads to more initial cost, and design of bearing housing, so that may be complicated because it has to place properly whatever the roller or bearing. So that's why design of bearing house is somewhat complicated. So these are some of the features of anti-friction bearing. Now coming to the types of rolling contact bearing. So there are two important types of bearing. So based on rolling elements that is used in the bearing. So based on that one, we classified into two types. One is ball bearing, second one is roller bearing. So if you use balls between the moving surface and stationary surface, then that will be ball bearing. Similarly, if you introduce a roller between the two surface, then we call it as roller bearing. This is the diagram of ball bearing. You can see here. So there will be a outer race and there will be a inner race, and in between there will be a balls are placed or introduced. So in ball bearing or roller bearing consists of an inner race always, which is mounted on the shaft. So inner race which is always mounted on the shaft, or we call it as journal, and outer race which is carried by the housing or casing. So in between this inner and outer case there will be a balls or rollers, because I have shown here in this balls, and here you can see. So that is nothing but roller. So a number of balls or rollers are used. So these are held at proper distance by the by and should not touch each other. Whatever the roller or balls should not touch each other. So there will be a that should be assembled in such a manner, so in order to carry the load, whether it may be a radial load or whether it may be axial load. So it may carry both load. So that is nothing but ball bearing as well as roller bearing. So this you can see here. This is the construction of cut section of the ball bearing. You can see here. So this is nothing but roller bearing, and here you can see this is ball bearing inside. So there will be a number of balls. Similarly here you can see. So this is nothing but rollers. You can see many rollers. So these are the nomenclature part with respect to ball bearing, similar to the roller bearing. So here you can see inner diameter is, you can measure from here to here, and this is nothing but steel ball. So outer diameter from the outer race we have to measure. So that is denoted by capital letter D, and there is one portion, so that is called a retainer. So retainer, so that will maintain proper distance, so that whatever the number of balls, they do not touch each other. So retainers are nothing but thin strips, and this is usually in two parts, which are assembled after the balls have been properly spaced. So the whatever the ball bearing, so these are used for light loads, and roller bearings are used for heavier loads. So these are about two types of rolling elements. In order to whatever the friction here is rolling friction, because in sliding contact bearing, whatever the friction, that is sliding friction, but here it is a rolling friction. Always ball bearing used for light load application, and roller bearing are used for heavier load, either it may be radial or it may be axial. Now coming to the types of rolling contact bearing based on load. So bearing supports different types of load. So based on load, so sliding rolling contact bearing can be classified as two types. One is radial bearing, another one is axial or thrust bearing. So radial bearing, so bearing which support only a radial load. Similarly, thrust bearing means bearing supports only thrust load, or we call it as axial load. You can see here, this is radial ball bearing. So WR is nothing but radial load. So R suffix R indicates radial load. Similarly, WA is nothing but axial load. A stands for axial. So this is the nature of load acting on the rolling contact bearing. So based on type of load, we classified as radial ball bearing. Similarly, thrust ball bearing. So this is classification of ball bearing. Similar classification we have for roller bearing also. So that is based on roller bearing. Now coming to the again types of ball bearing. So there are 5 important types of ball bearing. The first one is called single row deep groove ball bearing. Second one, filling notch ball bearing. And the third one is angular contact ball bearing. Fourth one, double row ball bearing. And fifth one is self aligning ball bearing. So we'll discuss one by one. So what are the application and what are the characteristics of these ball bearing, because single row, similarly we have double row, but nature is same. So only number of rows are different. So coming to the first one, single row, you can see here, this is single row deep groove ball bearing. So we have a rolling element, obviously ball, and this is nothing but inner cage, and this is outer ring, and this is called cage. So if there is only one row of balls are there, then we call it as single row deep groove ball bearing. Sometime there will be two rows, then we call it as double row deep groove bearing. So single row deep groove bearing, so this is widely used for high speed application because of high load carrying capacity. So that's why it can be used for higher speed application, and whatever the load carrying capacity of the ball bearing is related to size, whatever the size of size and number of balls that is used in this bearing. So this is about single row deep groove bearing. Similarly, we have one more type, that is called filling notch bearing. So filling notch bearing is nothing but, you already seen here. So this is nothing but filling notch. So there is a small difference here in the cross section. You can see that is in the shape of notch. So that's why it is called filling notch ball bearing. Filling these bearings have notches in the inner and outer race, which permit more balls to insert than in a deep groove ball bearing. Because of notches, we can permit more number of balls to be inserted in this type of bearing. So the notches do not extend to the bottom of the raceway, and therefore balls inserted through the notches must be forced in position. So this type of bearings can be used for a larger load carrying capacity. So this is also one more type of ball bearing. Now coming to the one more type, that is angular contact bearing. So you can see here, so this is nothing but angular contact bearing. These bearings have one side of the outer race cut away to the permit the insertion of more balls than in a deep bearing, but without having notch cut into both rays. This is the characteristics of angular contact bearing, and this type of bearing that permits to carry a relatively large axial load in one direction while also carrying relatively large radial load. So it will carry both the load, axial as well as radial load. In such application we can use angular contact bearing. The angular contact bearing are usually used in pairs so that thrust load may be carried in either direction. So it can be used always in pair in order to carry the thrust load in both direction. Now one more type of row, that one more type of bearing, that is double row bearing. So double row, these bearing may be made with the radial or angular contact between the balls or races. Double row bearing is appreciable narrower than two single row bearing. So the large load carrying capacity of the bearing is slightly less than uh, twice that of single row bearing. So usually load carrying capacity of this type of bearing is less than twice that of single row bearing. Now coming to the last type of ball bearing, that is self aligning bearing. So you can see here, this is called a self aligning bearing. So these bearings permits shaft deflection within 2 to 3 degrees. So that is one of the important characteristics of self aligning bearing. So that's why the name implies self alignment. So that is 2 to 3 degree. So it will permit whatever the deflection in the shaft. So that is about self aligning bearing. This is based on one more type of load, that is axial load or thrust load. So that can be used to support thrust load. So this is called thrust ball bearing. Now coming to the types of radial roller bearing, that is there are four important types. One is cylindrical roller bearing, second one is spherical roller bearing, then third one is needle roller bearing, and fourth one is tapered roller bearing. Cylindrical roller bearing is nothing but these have short rollers that is guided in the cage. So these bearings are relatively rigid against radial motion. So and they have lowest coefficient of friction and in any form of heavy duty rolling contact bearing. So this type of bearing usually used in high speed application. So that is about cylindrical roller. Then coming to the second type of radial roller bearing, that is spherical roller bearing. As the name implies, spherical. These bearings are self aligning bearings. So self aligning bearing is nothing but that is achieved by grinding one of the races in the form of spear. So you can you can see that one later. So this bearing can normally tolerate angular misalignment in the order of plus or minus 1.5 degree. So and can be used with the double row of rollers that can be carry thrust load in both direction. So that will be support whatever the thrust load in both direction in such application. So we can use spherical roller bearing, and it will tolerate always whatever the angular misalignment in the shaft. So that is of 1 to 2 degree. So that is about spherical roller bearing. Now coming to the third one, so this is needle roller bearing. So needle roller bearing, these are relatively slender and comparatively completely fill the space, so that neither a cage nor a retainer is needed. So for this one no need of cage or retainer. So these bearing are used when heavy loads are to be carried with an oscillatory motion. In such cases we have to use needle roller bearing. Now coming to the last type of roller bearing, that is tapered roller bearing. You can see here, this is the diagram of taper roller bearing. So here the rollers and raceways of this bearing always truncated. You can see here truncated cones whose element always intersect at a common point. So this type of bearing always carries both radial as well as thrust load, and these bearings also available in various combination as double row bearings with the different cone angles for use with the different relative magnitudes of radial as well as thrust loads. So this is about tapered roller bearing. You can see here uh, three-dimensional view of all different bearings. So that is cylindrical roller bearing. So you can see here whatever the rolling element is roller here, and this is spherical bearing, and this one is needle bearing, and this one is called tapered roller bearing. So these are the four important types of roller bearing. So you have to select this type of bearing from the manufacturer catalogs. That is nothing but selection criteria. So that also we'll discuss later. Now coming to the next topic, that is static and dynamic load carrying capacity of rolling contact bearing. The load carried by a non-rotating bearing is nothing but static load. So the basic load rating is defined as static radial or axial load, so which correspond to total permanent deformation of the ball and is at the most heavily stressed contact equal to 0.001 times the ball diameter. So this is nothing but static uh, load rating. Similarly, we have dynamic load rating. So this is the standard term. So that is we have used in the design of rolling contact bearing. Similarly, we have dynamic load rating is nothing but constant stationary radial load or constant axial load, which a group of apparently identical bearings with the stationary outer ring can endure for a rating life of 1 million revolution, so which is equivalent to 500 hours of operation at 33.3 rpm with the only 10% failure. So whatever the failure should be only 10%. It means that survival rate will be 90%. So that is called dynamic load carrying capacity. So all this equation you have in your data and books, that is from 16.108 to 16.10b. So you can use this equation to find out these rating, that is dynamic load rating as well as static load rating. So these are nothing but static and dynamic load carrying capacity of rolling contact bearing. Static equivalent load for rolling contact bearing is nothing but static radial load or axial load which is applied would cause the same total permanent deformation at the most heavily stressed ball and race contact as that which occur under actual condition of loading. So this is nothing but static equivalent load. So that can be calculated with the help of equation 16.10b. That is nothing but PO equal to P naught equal to x naught plus FR plus y naught into FA. So whatever the force, that is equal to radial load, is FR. So where x naught and y naught are radial and thrust factors respectively. So this is about static equivalent load for rolling contact bearing. So dynamic load carrying capacity is nothing but the life of an individual ball bearing is defined as the number of revolution which bearing runs before the first evidence of a fatigue crack in balls or race. So that is nothing but life of bearing when it is subjected to fatigue life. So that we'll discuss later. Similarly, dynamic load rating of rolling contact bearing, so it's nothing but constant stationary radial or constant axial load, which is a group of apparently identical bearing with the stationary outer ring, can endure for a rating life of 1 million revolution, so with the only 10% failure. So that is nothing but a rating life. So if you consider group of apparently identical ball bearing, so when it is subjected to number of revolution, we can say that 90% of the bearings will complete or exit before the first evidence of fatigue crack, whatever the crack may be on balls, or it may be on race. So that is the definition of rating life of rating life when it is subjected to dynamic or fatigue load. So from equation you can use from 16.5a to 16.5b, similarly 16.7a for different consideration, and commonly used equation is this one: P equal to x into v plus fr plus y into fa, that is from 16.6 in your data and book. So P is nothing but equivalent dynamic load, and x is nothing but a radial factor, and y is nothing but thrust factor. So you will get from this table 16.3, and v is nothing but race rotation factor. So that is to find out equivalent dynamic load. Now coming to the next topic, that is load life relationship. So there will be a relationship between dynamic load carrying capacity and equivalent dynamic load. So C is nothing but dynamic load carrying capacity, and P is nothing but equivalent dynamic load. So P is nothing but equivalent dynamic load. You know how to calculate. So P can be calculated with the help of equation 16.6, and so that you can find whatever the rated bearing life, that is nothing but Ln. So usually we consider as L10. So L10 means 90% of survival we are going to consider, and predicting 10% of failure. So that is nothing but rated bearing life. Usually we are going to consider Ln in terms of million of revolution. So you have to consider Ln. So this term should be in million of revolution, and C is nothing but dynamic load capacity, and P is nothing but value of P is nothing but dynamic load carrying capacity. So here one suffix is there, so that suffix will be constant. So that is 3 will be for ball bearing, and 10 by 3 for roller bearing. So same equation you can use, but whatever the value of n, so directly they have given here. So n is nothing but constant for ball bearing, that is n equal to 3. Similarly n equal to 10 by 3 for roller bearing. So that is the relationship between the life in million revolution and million revolution between the dynamic load carrying capacity and equivalent dynamic load. Similarly you have in your data and book one more expression. So that is relationship between the life in million revolution and life in working hours. Usually working hours they will give in terms of a week or day, or with the help of a month, or in the help of years they will give. So that we have to convert into millions of revolution, because always you have to keep Ln here, Ln in both cases, that is in 16.4a as well as in 16.4b, Ln should be in millions of revolution. That is nothing but a life rated bearing life. So very important equation, because it will give you a relationship between the dynamic load capacity and equivalent load. So that is about load life relationship. Now coming to the selection procedure, because you have to select proper bearing from the manufacturer's catalog. So that is very important. Selection of bearing from manufacturer's catalog. Selection will be depending on the shaft diameter and magnitude of radial and axial load. Suitable type of bearing is to be chosen from the manufacturing catalog, either a ball bearing or roller bearing. So we have to calculate whatever is the equivalent radial load is to be determined. If it is tapered bearing, then manufacturer catalog is to be consulted for the equation given for equivalent radial load. So the value of dynamic capacity or load rating C is calculated for the given bearing life and equivalent radial load. So we need to find out important value, that is dynamic capacity of the bearing is denoted by capital letter C. So you have to find out from known value of C a suitable bearing size that conforms to the shaft is to be chosen. So however some augmentation in the shaft size may be required after proper bearing chosen. So that can be selected based on value of C from the manufacturer's catalog. So lot of tables you have to note down for different types of bearing, such as deep groove bearing or tapered bearing, roller bearing. So whatever the selection, that will be same for ball bearing as well as roller bearing. So we need to find out first radial and axial force that is acting on the bearing, and we need to determine the diameter of the shaft where the bearing is to be fitted. So that is the important step. Then we have to know type of bearing for a given application. We have to select for type of you have to select type of bearing for given application. So we need to find out some of the factors such as X and Y, what we discussed earlier. X and Y, these are the radial and thrust factors. So you'll get that value from tables or manufacturer's catalog. So for each type of ball bearing has the value will be different. So based on that we need to find out equivalent load. So once you get the equivalent load from the equation, there will be a relationship between the radial load and axial load. We have to calculate equivalent load. So after that we need to find out what is the L10. L10 is the million revolution. It's nothing but bearing life. You have to find out that, you have to express in terms of L10, and after that we have to find out dynamic load capacity. Just now you discussed that is two equations are there, one for ball bearing as well as for roller bearing. So that we have to find out, that is nothing but C. So now after that you have to find out, check whether the selected bearing series based on dynamic capacity is there or not in the manufacturer's catalog. So that is the important steps you have to follow while selecting the proper bearing for certain application. So that is about selection of bearing from manufacturer's catalog. Now how to select bearing for when subjected to cyclic load and speed. This is a different case, that is when it is subjected to cyclic load, because whatever the load that may varies from lower level to higher level, from minimum value to maximum value. If the load varies, then how to select. So in certain application, ball bearing are subjected to cyclic load and speed. An example, consider ball bearing operating under following condition. There will be a one example is given, a radial load of 2000 Newton at 700 rpm. So if you consider full life, around 25% of the time it is subjected to this load at this rpm. The remaining 50%, 25 plus 50, 75, 50% of time that is subjected to 5000 Newton at 900 rpm. Similarly, the remaining portion of the time 25%, so that is subjected to 1000 Newton, that is at 750 rpm. So there will be a 3 load variation from 2500 to 5000 again to 1000. So such type of we have seen in the fatigue, that is one of the important rule we studied, that is Miner's rule. So based on same thing, we have to select particular bearing for particular application, so when it is subjected to cyclic load. So when it is subjected to cyclic load, we need to find out first, necessary to consider the complete work cycle while finding out the dynamic load carrying capacity of the bearing. So the procedure consists of dividing work cycle into a number of elements during which operating condition of load and speed are constant. Suppose if you consider whatever the work cycle, we have to divide into a number of element. If you consider F1, F2, F3 are the load at N1, N2, N3 dash dash so on, at be the speed during this element. So during the first element, the life corresponding to load F1, that we have to find out. So that is based on we have to find out L1, similarly L2, L3. So based on relationship between the dynamic load and equivalent load, that is for ball bearing as well as for roller bearing. Similarly, you have to find out, and finally you will get expression like this. So you have to add all the expression, so that you will get mean force. Mean force you have to find out, that is from equation number 16.9a. So where F1 is the constant load during N1 revolution, F2 is the constant load during the N2 revolution. For certain cycle, the whatever the load, that will be constant. So F2 will be constant for N2 revolution. So total revolution will be, we have to add, that is N1 plus N2 plus N3. So this is the equation used for calculating the dynamic load carrying capacity of the bearing when subjected to fatigue load. Now last important concept, that is probability of survival. So in definition of rating life, it is mentioned that rating life is the life that 90% of group of identical bearing will complete or exceed it before fatigue failure. So this 90% whatever the probability we are going to consider in the design of rolling contact bearing. So reliability is given as number of bearing which have successfully completed L million revolution to the total number of bearing under test. So you have to consider one test. So how many number of bearings you are going to consider? In that, number of bearing which have successfully completed all million revolution, that is L million of revolution. So that is nothing but reliability factor. It is denoted by R, capital letter R. So if 50% failure means you have to consider 50%, that is L 50. 10% failure means you have to consider L 10. Similarly, 50% failure means you have to consider L 50. So this is nothing but life of bearing. The relationship between bearing life and reliability is given by statistical curve. This curve we called it as Weibull distribution. So that is one of the important concept, because we need to find out bearing life in the design. This is all about selection of bearing, that is rolling contact bearing. So we have two important types of problem based on roller bearing and ball bearing, but whatever the selection procedure, that will be same. The only difference is what is the relationship between, that is load life relation. So that will be different for ball bearing as well as for roller bearing. So in next class we'll solve problems on sliding contact bearing as well as problems on rolling contact bearing or anti friction bearing. Thank you.